welcome to the show. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Kat.
And today we're talking about some serious diseases, not in real life though, luckily.
Really? Okay.
It was really cool. Not really cool, but this is really interesting. This disease happened online in a game.
Yeah, I did hear about that. In fact, I wrote the article about it. Well, I guess, but there are a lot of serious diseases kind of like this, which are real though, right?
That's true.
So there's like...
the recent African swine flu.
Yeah, African swine fever or...
sorry, swine fever,
yeah,
yes.
either way, I guess. Or H1N1, bird flu.
There was like SARS a long time ago,
Yeah.
MERS as well. And these were dangerous to people because if people got sick, then you could possibly die from these diseases.
Yeah, and they were also really, really easy to catch. Like they would just, that's called an epidemic, where it's like a disease is very easy to catch.
It spreads really quickly to people as well.
And there's a lot of diseases still like this in the world, like in different parts where medicine is not as easy to come by. But this disease was really unique because it wasn't seen anywhere else. And what do we mean when we say it wasn't in real life? So we're actually going to find out with our article.
Reading.
Corrupted blood. How an in-game disease got the world's attention. If you've ever played a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, you know how the actions of individual players can affect others. But in 2005, popular MMORPG World of Warcraft witnessed a rare incident that would have gamers, scientists, and doctors talking about it for years afterward. It was called the Corrupted Blood Incident, and it involved a plague that would devastate an entire region of the game. The disaster began with a game update that added an extremely difficult raid area called Zul'Gurub. The area's final monster, Hakar, had an ability that made the characters sick. After winning the fight, the players were healed. However, at some point, someone forgot to heal a pet that had fought along with them. When the player and their pet went back to a crowded town, the disease spread and began killing weaker players. Streets were littered with bodies as players' characters died and respawned over and over from the disease. Blizzard, the company behind World of Warcraft, was shocked and puzzled. The disease was only supposed to have stayed inside the Zul'Gurub mission, but now they couldn't control it. Had they not reset the game and wiped out the plague, it certainly would have spread even further. But the Corrupted Blood incident would not soon be forgotten. Okay, so our article today starts off by talking about a particular kind of game. So this disease, this is not in the real world, is actually in a game. That's what we're talking about today. So our article starts, if you've ever played a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, that you know how the actions of individual players can affect others. So this MMORPG, this is a game type where you are one player, but there are many, many, many other people also as one player on their own PCs, and you are all interacting with each other and playing with each other. And usually you go and fight monsters, and you play as like kind of a different kind of person or different creature than you really are.
Now, we see the word individual here. When we talk about an individual, or this word here can be used as an adjective, it means it's relating to just one person of maybe, or just this one member of a group. So although in this game you do maybe have to join teams, or maybe you have to interact with other people, but you yourself are playing this game, okay? For example, we can say this band was very successful, but each individual member has done well since they broke up.
Okay.
So it's just, for example, maybe there's 5 people in the band, but this one person did good, this one person did good. They all had a very, very good, we could say, musical career as individuals.
Right.
Okay? Next in the article it says, but in 2005, popular MMORPG World of Warcraft, okay, in Chinese it's 魔兽世界, witnessed a rare incident that would have gamers, scientists, and doctors talking about it for years afterward.
Wow.
Okay, so something really strange happened in this kind of online world, and it even puzzled, scientists in real life. Okay. Let's take a look at the word incident. Incident here is a noun and it means something unexpected that happens, and usually it is not very pleasant. So, for example, if a fire breaks out somewhere, that is considered an incident because, of course, you don't expect fires to happen. And if there's a fire emergency, yes, we know that is not really good. For example, we can also say there was an incident on the highway involving 4 cars and a truck. Luckily, no one was hurt. We saw the word witness here, and to witness something means like you are in this place and you see something happen, you see something take place. So for example, in the game World of Warcraft, everyone saw something strange happen.
Right, okay, so they witnessed this really interesting event, and for some reason scientists and doctors are also interested in it. I don't know why that would be, but I guess we're going to find out later. So we also have this word afterward. Afterward is an adverb that means after something else happened or at a later time. And you can see it's made of the word after and also this W-A-R-D word. That means in that direction or in space or time. If you see a word with W-A-R-D word at the end, then you can know that it's basically going in that direction. So if you see the word backward, it's going back. Forward, going for or going towards something. Toward is another actual W-A-R-D word. Or skyward. If you say something is going skyward, that means it's going up to the sky. Or say I'm going homeward, it means I'm going towards my home. Here's another example. Kayla and Harry broke up years ago, but afterward, they decided to be friends and still are to this day. So we had going on with the article talking about this incident that everybody witnessed in World of Warcraft, or WOW, or WoW. It was called the Corrupted Blood Incident, and it involved a plague that would devastate an entire region of the game. Whew, it's giving me shivers just thinking about it. So corrupted blood sounds kind of scary, but we're going to talk about these couple of words. Plague. A plague is a horrible disease that spreads quickly, kills a lot of people. It's actually the name of a particular disease which happened maybe 600 years ago or something like that.
A long time ago.
Yeah. So back when medicine was not as advanced as today, it was called the bubonic plague or called the Black Death. And because it killed about 1/3 of people in Europe, 1 out of every 3 people died from it. So it was really, really scary.
It's really bad.
Yeah, so this kind of disease, this big disease which spreads really, really fast and can kill a lot of people, can be called a plague. We also have this word devastate. This plague devastated a region, which it means it ruined it or it made it totally lifeless. Like there's nothing living there, everything is out of order, everybody's helpless. It could be caused by like war can devastate places, or typhoons could devastate towns if they hit them hard enough, or some other disaster like earthquake or disease.
So I think it's quite interesting to see that this can happen in a game as well.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to the article and learn a little bit more about what happened. It says the disaster began with a game update that added an extremely difficult raid area called Zul'Gurub. Okay. Yeah. So they added this new kind of area for people to play, and what happened here?
Well, I guess a raid is like a mission where you get a bunch of people together and you decide to go for this one particular goal. So in this case, the goal was defeating a big old monster. So the area's final monster, Hakar, had an ability that made the character sick. So ability is a word you might know already, but in a game it has a little bit of a different meaning. An ability might be like a special move or skill that a player or a monster, something like that, has just in the background. They don't have to like press a button and do it. They might always have an ability on, like making characters sick, like this monster, or it might be something that's activated by a certain event. Like if your health is very low and all of a sudden you get a lot stronger, that's an ability. Okay, and it's different from abilities in real life, which is like things you can do or skills that you have. So anyway, going on with this article, After winning the fight with Hakar, the players were healed.
Okay, so this monster made people sick, but people can be healed from this disease or from this sickness.
Yeah.
We see the word heal here. Heal means to become healthy or well again. For example, sometimes you might hear this, all wounds need time to heal. So for example, if you fall down and get hurt, then the place where you get hurt, it will take some time for it to get better. Eventually it'll get better soon, so don't worry. And we also hear this saying as well. A lot of times if you're feeling sad or if you're feeling heartbroken about something, maybe someone might say to you, time heals all wounds. So it can also be things like maybe a heartbreak or something like that. Let's take a look at our sample sentence. We can say, the boy cut his hand on a rock, but it healed after a few weeks. Okay, so it did get better. You won't have this cut all the time. Let's continue reading. It says, however, at some point, someone forgot to heal a pet that had fought along with them.
Right,
Oh, no.
okay. Because I think the pets in World of Warcraft are actually not players. They are just, something.
There.
They are something that goes
okay.
along with the players. So you can't have somebody in the microphone saying like, heal me up, heal me, because the pets can't tell you that. So I guess it's kind of easy to forget. But anyway, we see this point at some point. At some point, somebody forgot to heal a pet. That means at like one time during a certain amount of time. So from the time this raid area got opened until this point when it got closed, if it's closed, I don't know. At some point during that, like here maybe, somebody forgot to heal the pet. It's a little bit different from saying like at one point, where the time is known to the speaker. At some point implies that you don't really know what time it happened, but it did happen. So going on with the article, when the player and their pet is not healed, remember, went back to a crowded town, the disease spread and began killing weaker players.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It sounds like a real life disease as well, actually. Okay. Next it says, streets were littered with bodies as players' characters died and respawned over and over from the disease.
That sounds really serious.
That sounds really scary.
Yeah, it sounds like a scary place to be. I don't think I'd want to be there. Okay, so we have this word litter here. Litter here is a verb, and you might know litter as a noun, which means somebody's trash that they throw on the road. But as a verb, and as the phrase be littered with something, it means that a lot of things are spread around all over the place, especially a lot of different small things that are just in random places all over. For example, if you have lots of trash all over a beach or a sidewalk or street, you'd say this place is littered with trash. And that means trash is everywhere. Whatever is littering the area, that is everywhere. Here's another example for you. After the annual tomato throwing festival, the streets were littered with smashed tomatoes and everyone was covered in red juice. That actually sounds kind of fun. Okay, so going back to this line here where it says that the streets were littered with bodies. And the reason for this is because in a video game, when you die, you don't actually die. And you don't die forever. Because in WoW, when you die, maybe a few minutes later, you come back, or even a few seconds later, and then your skeleton stays on the road and you are still walking around. Then maybe you die again. So these people were dying over and over. Respawning is when you come back to life in a video game. So you could die once, die one more time, die 5 times in a few minutes. You can imagine how many bodies would be on the road.
Yeah, and then this was happening over and over again. So I can imagine being on the game, playing it, and then dying, and then coming back, and then dying again. How it's kind of weird and annoying actually to be waiting all this time.
Yeah, and especially because you die and you have to wait to get back up, and then it's kind of like not being able to walk. You keep constantly falling down. Yeah.
So a lot of people couldn't play the game for a while, I would think.
I think it would be annoying to play the game. Yeah. So, but apparently, you know, this was not known to everybody. Blizzard, the company behind World of Warcraft, was shocked and puzzled.
Yeah, they were really puzzled, not just by, well, they were first of all puzzled because how did this thing, why are people dying?
Yeah, maybe people were thinking like, oh, this is supposed to happen. The game writers wrote this in, but actually they didn't.
So the people who created it were very, very puzzled as to why this was happening. Now, let's take a look at the word puzzled. It means to feel confused about something or not understand it. So puzzled, confused, it kind of means the same thing, basically. We can say the police were very puzzled because the thief didn't even leave a fingerprint behind. So it was very difficult to even figure out who stole the thing or what kind of lead they could get into. So we can say they were very confused. Okay?
The head scratcher.
Yeah. All right, next in the article it says, the disease was only supposed to have stayed inside the Zolgarub mission, but now they couldn't control it. So here's another reason why they were puzzled, because remember the update? The update was supposed to only stay in this area, but how did it get out of that area and onto the, I guess, like the main street or the main area where people hang out? So they were very, very confused as to what happened.
And the reason it was killing people so quickly was because that area was for very high-level players, and they had a lot of health, but some people didn't, and so this disease would just kill them like that. So Blizzard decided, what can we do? And they decided to reset the game. Had they not reset the game, the article says, and wiped out the plague, it certainly would have spread even further.
Oh, wow.
So wipe out here is the word like get rid of something completely. Like kind of like when you erase something from a whiteboard or a chalkboard, it's all gone. That's wiped out. Things that have been wiped out in the past in real life might be like towns or certain species of animals or certain diseases, which is a good thing. Wiping out a disease is a great thing.
We don't want to get sick from that again. Okay, so let's take a look at this grammar point right here. Basically, it's another way to use if da-da-da-da-da, okay? Usually we learn that if a subject had or had not done or been something, the second thing or the second subject could, would, might, or might not have done or do something. Okay, it's a little bit confusing, but let's take a look at this example. If we use if, we can say, if Jerry had finished his homework, the teacher would not have gotten angry. Now, with the grammar point that we just learned, we can change it around. It said had. So for example, we can say, had Jerry done his homework, the teacher would not have gotten angry. So both of it is just another way for you to use if. Okay, so the disease was kind of getting out of hand, and Blizzard, the company, they had to do something. So they had to reset the whole game. Now, when you reset something like a machine or a device, it means you kind of adjust it or set it again so it can work properly and it's ready to perform in the right or normal way. So in this case, it's the game's servers which keep players online.
Right, so like maybe you could reset your computer if it's not acting right, or reset your phone so that it starts working right again. Yeah, so we talked about this wipe something out means destroy something completely. But here's the thing. Just because the disease was gone does not mean people forgot about it. That's what the article says too. But the corrupted blood incident would not soon be forgotten. And this is actually our last line of the day, so you can see we're setting up for day 2 already. And that means that right now, it's time for us to go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
Alright, so our For You Chat question for today is, have you ever played a game that is a lot like real life? Talk about the ways it's the same or different from the real world. And I think we have the same game in mind because I used to spend hours playing this game too.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so it's one called The Sims, and maybe you guys have played it too, where you have these little people that you create and you control their entire lives inside their house. And they have these little green things that spin above their head and tell you if they're in a good mood or if they're in a bad mood, that sort of thing. And I think in some ways it's like real life, but in some ways it's really, really not.
Yeah, like I think the things that are quite similar is that you do have to make choices for them as well, and they kind of react to the choices that you make. So that's what I found really fun. Like, what if today I was an artist or something?
Yeah, exactly.
And
what
then,
if, what if I decide to get this job and then have, 10 babies? Because you can do that in that game and not have a big deal about it. But I think the thing that's not very realistic is the way they move.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of move in squares. Yeah, they're not very smart.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah, me too.
I don't play any other online games like that, so...
I play a lot, but there's too many to to talk about, but you guys have probably played a lot of these too, and you can probably think of some games where it's a little bit like real life or a lot like real life, and talk about how that is the same or it's different with your classmates, and maybe you can compare some games and get some good ideas of things to play. And we're gonna see you for day 2 tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Corrupted blood. How an in-game disease got the world's attention. If you've ever played a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, MMORPG, you know how the actions of individual players can affect others. But in 2005, popular MMORPG World of Warcraft witnessed a rare incident that would have gamers, scientists, and doctors talking about it for years afterward. It was called the Corrupted Blood Incident, and it involved a plague that would devastate an entire region of the game. The disaster began with a game update that added an extremely difficult raid area called Zul'Gurub. The area's final monster, Hakar, had an ability that made the characters sick. After winning the fight, the players were healed. However, at some point, someone forgot to heal a pet that had fought along with them. When the player and their pet went back to a crowded town, the disease spread and began killing weaker players. Streets were littered with bodies as players' characters died and respawned over and over from the disease. Blizzard, the company behind World of Warcraft, was shocked and puzzled. The disease was only supposed to have stayed inside the Zul'Gurub mission, but now they couldn't control it. Had they not reset the game and wiped out the plague, it certainly would have spread even further. But the Corrupted Blood incident would not soon be forgotten.
Vocabulary Review.
Individual. Although they worked on this project in groups, the students will each be graded on their individual efforts. Incident. Tyler is scared of dogs after he had an incident with an angry one last year. Afterward. Megan wasn't excited about going to that movie, but afterward, she said she really enjoyed it. Heal. Betty was seriously hurt in the car accident, and her injuries took a long time to heal. Litter. The beach was littered with empty eggshells after the baby turtles hatched and went to sea. Puzzled. Jason was completely puzzled as he looked for his keys. They weren't in any of the usual places.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000。02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net